This is a global news update on top Accolade News. From the streets where citizens march for accountability, to the courts and corridor of power shaping global crisis, to stages and stadiums where talent and ambition collide. Tonight's headline: Show a world in motion. Corruption, conflict, and creativity aren't just stories. They're forces that touch lives everywhere. Let's take you through the 8 moments making news today. The headlines: Philippines prepare mass protest against ghost infrastructure. U.S. senators push first resolution to recognize Palestinian states. Taliban bans women authors and human rights subjects from Afghan universities. South Korea addresses visa issues for workers ahead of U.S. investment deal. In Manila, history and outrage collide as citizens prepare to take to the streets, demanding accountability for billions lost to alleged ghost infrastructure projects. Philippines prepared mass protests. Thousands are set to join the trillion Peso March in Manila on Sunday, coinciding with the anniversary of Ferdinand Marcos' 1972 martial law declaration, as public outrage grew over alleged corruption in government-funded flood control projects totaling $17.6 billion. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. expressed support for the demonstration, while the House Speaker resigned amid allegation of misconduct involving lawmakers and the Department of Public Works and Highways. A 3-person commission led by former Supreme Court Justice Andres Reyes has been appointed to investigate a decade of flood control initiatives, underscoring mounting demands for accountability. Even decades later, Filipinos have proven that public scrutiny is louder than power. From the streets of Manila, where citizens are demanding accountability for billions lost, we turn to Washington, where lawmakers are weighing symbolic moves that could reshape the Middle East. A group of Democratic-led U.S. senators introduced the first Senate resolution urging recognition of a Palestinian state alongside a secure Israel, signaling a potential shift in Washington's sentiment nearly 2 years into the Gaza conflict. Led by Jeff Merkley, the resolution emphasizes a demilitarization of a Palestinian state to foster peace and humanitarian relief, though it faces slim chances of passing in the Republican-controlled Senate. Co-sponsors include Bernie Sanders and 6 other Democrats, reflecting growing concern over Gaza's escalating death toll, which now exceeds 65,000, and the ongoing hostage situation. The move coincides with international debate on recognition and UN finding alleged genocide by Israel, intensifying global scrutiny. Even symbolic gesture in Washington can echo across a world desperate for peace. While U.S. senators debate recognition and hope for diplomacy, halfway across the globe in Afghanistan, the Taliban is tightening the reins on education, showing how power can both protect and suppress. The Taliban government has removed around 140 books written by women and banned 18 university subjects, including gender and development, women's sociology, and courses on sexual harassment, citing conflict with Sharia and Taliban policies. The crackdown, part of a wider series of restrictions since the group's return to power, also targets Iranian-authored or published works, affecting at least 680 titles in total. Critics warn that the move leaves a void in education, as lecturers scramble to replace materials while limiting Afghanistan's connection to global academic standards. When knowledge is censored, it is not just books that vanish, it is opportunity itself. From the suppression of education in Afghanistan to the facilitation of skilled labor in South Korea, the world headlines show how governance and policy can either block opportunity or unlock massive economic potential. South Korean Foreign Minister Cho Hyun announced that the government will resolve issues faced by Korean workers with U.S. visas before moving forward with a $350 billion investment package under the bilateral trade deal, following the recent U.S. immigration raid at a Hyundai motor battery plant in Georgia that saw hundreds of Korean workers arrested. While most affected workers have returned home, companies are pushing for a new visa category to facilitate skilled labor transfers. Cho emphasized that visa policy is not a precondition for the investment. In a globalized economy, even human paperwork can ripple into multi-billion-dollar deals. You're watching the Global News Update on Top Accolade News. Do stay with us. Still to come. Thanks for staying with us. To board our debates, global leaders are showing that controlling movement, whether of people or ideas, have become a high-stakes political game. During the conclusion of his second state visit to the UK, US President Donald Trump suggested that Prime Minister Keir Starmer could deploy the military to curb illegal migration across the English Channel, citing the US approach to border security as a model. Speaking at a joint press conference, Trump emphasized that illegal immigration destroys countries from within and encouraged the UK to take a strong stand, while the Prime Minister highlighted ongoing measures, including a one-in, one-out migrant return deal with France. The visit also included discussion on Palestinian statehood, Ukraine, and a new US-UK tech investment pact, while Trump promoted energy expansion and tariff adjustments. When migration becomes a political theater, humanity often risks becoming after the afterthought. While politicians discuss troop deployment and migration strategies, thousands of civilians in Gaza bear the consequences of vetoes and stalled diplomacy, reminding us that power has a human face. The United States vetoed a UN Security Council draft resolution demanding an immediate unconditional ceasefire in Gaza, unrestricted humanitarian aid, and the release of hostages held by Hamas, despite 14 of 15 council members voting in favor. The veto, the sixth by the US in nearly 2 years of conflict, continuing Washington's pattern of shielding Israel, with officials citing Hamas's refusal to end hostilities and release hostages. Gaza faces confirmed famine, with thousands killed during the October 2023 outbreak of violence, raising urgent concerns about civilian suffering and the widening humanitarian crisis. In the corridors of power, vetoes will protect allies, but civilians pay the heaviest price. Cardi B turns personal triumph into chart-topping music. Cardi B released her long-awaited second album, Am I the Drama, featuring 23 tracks with collaboration from Janet Jackson, Lizzo, Selena Gomez, Megan Thee Stallion, and others. The release comes shortly after Cardi announced her fourth pregnancy, at first with NFL star Stefon Diggs, and won a high-profile lawsuit in Los Angeles. The album leans into her characteristic boldness, wit, and confrontation with public scrutiny, setting the drama for her Little Miss Drama tour, beginning February 11 in Palm Desert, California, with stops in major North American cities. In a world full of chaos, Cardi B reminds us that life's drama can be both personal and profitable. And finally, in sports, Rashford's double secures Barcelona victory over Newcastle in Champions League opener. Marcus Rashford marked his return to English football with a stunning brace in 9 second-half minutes, giving Barcelona a 2-1 victory over Newcastle United at St. James Park in their Champions League season opener. Despite missing key players through injury, Barcelona held firm under early Newcastle pressure, with the goalkeeper making crucial saves. Rashford opened the scoring in the 58th minute with a header and doubled the lead 9 minutes later with a powerful strike. Anthony Gordon's late goal was too late to salvage a point for Newcastle. Rashford, who has now scored 7 career goals against Newcastle, has impressed his first games, suggesting a resurgence in forms. Rashford's brilliant proof that the comebacks aren't just possible, they can be spectacular. From streets and classrooms to charts and Champions League pitches, today's headlines remind us that the world is defined as much by human courage as by human conflict. Some stories inspire, some alarm, but all demand our attention and our response. I am Ojorumi Okocha, and that's the world as it's moved around us. Do have a wonderful day and keep watching the global news updates on Top Accolade News.